NFL free agency is right around the corner, and if you want the Giants to finally fix the offensive line, you just got some good news as PFF has linked them to one of the top interior offensive linemen in free agency. We're going to break that down on today's video, but first I want to hear from you. What do you think is a bigger need for the New York Giants to address this offseason in free agency as well as the NFL draft? Is it an offensive lineman? Do they got to fix the people in the trenches? Or do they need to add another playmaker out wide? Let me know your thoughts. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we react to Pro Football Focus saying that Will Fries, the interior offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts, who is going to be a free agent, the Giants have been listed at the top landing spot. He had a really good year in 2024 until he broke his leg at week 5. Then he didn't play the rest of the season. This is a guy that's 6'6", 26 years old, just had his best season in the National Football League. And we know the Giants still have some work to do on the offensive line, even though I don't think it's as bad as some people believe. This is what PFF said about the connection between Fries and Big Blue. Quote, he has steadily improved over his 4 seasons in Indianapolis, earning a higher PFF overall grade each year. Though an injury cut his 2024 season short, he showed significant progress early on. Over the first 5 weeks, his 86.9 PFF overall grade would have ranked 3rd among guards if he had played enough snaps to qualify, while his 84.9 PFF run blocking grade was among the best at the position. PFF ranks Fries as the 2nd best guard heading into NFL free agency, right behind Trey Smith. Trey Smith is the number 1 player there. There's going to be a lot of competition for him. And I'm looking at the Chicago Bears as being a team that's looking to go out and sign and pay a big guy like Trey Smith. Their general manager, Ryan Poles, was in the front office for the Kansas City Chiefs when they drafted him. So I think the idea of signing Fries and at least targeting him in free agency is really smart for the Giants. I would swing big on Smith, but Fries is 2nd best guy. He's definitely on my list as well. And like we talked about, he had a really big year prior to that injury, and it was his best year in the National Football League. His Pro Football Focus grades, his overall grade was the 4th best among all guards. His pass blocking grade at 74.9, that was 18th amongst all guards, and his run blocking grade of 84.9 this year, that was 5th best. Allowed 2 sacks, but it was a year that kind of stands out compared to the rest. You look at his rookie year in 2021 where he played just 2 games. Don't really care about that, but 54.8. Then 58.6 overall grade in 11 games played. And then in 17 games played in 2023, he got up to a 61.2 overall, allowing 4 sacks. He's a better run blocker than pass blocker, that's for sure. But he would be a big addition to this offensive line. And PFF, they expect him to cash in big time in free agency, saying the 26-year-old interior offensive lineman is projected to sign a 4-year, $57.2 million contract with $30 million in guaranteed money. If he signed that deal, which would pay him about $15.1 million per year, that would make him the 15th highest paid guard in the National Football League. And it's going to take a good chunk of change to go out and sign him. And I think the Giants should absolutely consider doing it, because when you look at the offensive line depth chart right now for players that are under contract heading into the 2025 season, they need a right guard. And I think they should spend big on that position. You're going to have Andrew Thomas back from injury. John Runyon will be there again at left guard. John Michael Schmidt's entering year 3. Hopefully he continues to get better. Then really, if you don't sign anybody, Jake Kubas is going to be your starting right guard. Jermaine Luminor at right tackle. You still have Azudu. You still have Evan Neal. You have Austin Schlottman and Jimmy Morrissey. And you also have Brian Hudson. So I like the top 4 guys the Giants have, but you have to go out and add a right guard. And that's why I think Fries added to this football team would make a lot of sense. Overall, if you can have Thomas, you can have Runyon, Schmitz, and you add a guy like Fries, and you still have Jermaine Luminor, that can be one of the better offensive lines in the NFC. And that's why I think they have to go out and make that happen. You got to have addressing the offensive line and going out and signing a premier right guard as one of the top priorities for this football team. Joe Shane knows. I mean, if you're going to add a young quarterback this year, this offseason, You have to go out and get him protection. The number one most important thing that I think is critical to a rookie quarterback having success is, does he have time in front of him to work? Can he have the ability to go through reads and maybe even be slow to go through some reads and have some extra time because of his offensive line? If a rookie QB cannot stand up in the pocket, I don't care how good they are. Look at Caleb Williams. They're going to struggle. He was graded out as one of the most generational QBs ever, and he struggled behind a bad Bears O-line. The Giants must go out and address the right guard position if they want to add a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or a quarterback in free agency as well. Some of the best guards in free agency, according to PFF, rank as follows. Trey Smith, number 1. Will Fries, 2. Tevin Jenkins, 3. Kevin Zeitler, number 4. Once a Giant, always a Giant, so wish he was a Giant. And then James Daniels, number 5, someone I'm really high on, but had an injury as well towards Achilles. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go. Mekhi Becton ranks as number 6. Brandon Schreff, number 7. Zach Martin, 8. Patrick McCary, number 9. And Aaron Banks of San Francisco, number 10. So I would absolutely be interested in going out and adding a guy like Will Fries. I'd swing big at Trey Smith. But I also want to bring the 34-year-old veteran interior offensive lineman Greg Van Roten back to the Giants. This time, though, as a backup option, as a depth option, because he could play either guard spot. And he also showed down the stretch of the season he can play that center position. And I like having a veteran that could be plug and play behind John Michael Schmitz for if he gets injured again or if he struggles. Overall, Van Roten, for what the Giants signed him to, overproduced. The overall grades compared to his peers weren't all that good. 61st overall in PFF overall grade. Talk about 55th in pass blocking grade, then 66th in run blocking grade. But if you can go out and sign a starting right guard and Fries, or if it is Trey Smith, and then you bring back Van Roten to be really your first offensive lineman off the bench that could play any of the interior spots, that's a step in the right direction. If you want Big Blue to spend big on a right guard this offseason, hit that thumbs up icon. I'm tired of talking about how the offensive line continues to need to be fixed, and I want someone that is going to be a stud at that right guard spot. I think if you add someone there, you could have a pretty good offensive line. Hit that thumbs up icon if you're with me. Coming up next, though, I want to talk about how I think the overreaction or the reaction to the Giants' offensive line having to be completely overhauled is an overreaction, because you only have one available starting spot you got to fill. And if you fill that spot with the right guard, I think you can have a top 15 offensive line and maybe even a top 10. That's around the corner. First, though, I got to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor, Prize Picks. Welcome Prize Picks back to Giants Now. We love having them here. So download the app and play Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports is something that everybody loves. Anyone that I know loves sports loves daily fantasy sports. And you can win big money with Prize Picks. All you have to do is pick more or pick less on the projected stat that Prize Picks has for each individual player. It's football, it's baseball, it's basketball, and you can have a big game free pick coming up in a couple of weeks. Look at Patrick Mahomes. They have set his total yards passing to 0.5. So you could pick more on that. That's pretty much a freebie right there. That's another reason I love Prize Picks. They're always giving out freebies. And we actually have a lineup here for the big game. We're going to take the more on Patrick Mahomes, and we're going to take, unfortunately, the more on Saquon Barkley getting into the end zone, as I think that is going to happen. And that's going to be a knife into the heart for all of the Giants fans. Use our promo code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and you will get $50 instantly when you play $5. Get hooked up with them, support the show, support the sponsor. All righty, let's close out the video with really a quick talking point of why I think the Giants' offensive line has really been just not fairly evaluated. We have been in purgatory. We have been in offensive line hell for quite some time. In 2023, you allowed 85 sacks. That's the second most in NFL history. And when you look at the total offensive line stats for the 2024 season, they weren't great, but they also weren't the worst. PFF had your run block grade as 28th best, so not great there, and 23rd best there, but only the 11th most sacks given up. And that's a step for this football team. 48 sacks allowed compared to 85 last year. And look, of course the offensive line was going to be bad when Jon Runyan gets hurt and a guy like Andrew Thomas gets hurt, then John Michael Schmitz gets hurt, and you're working with Evan Neal at right tackle, and you're moving Jermaine Illuminor from right tackle to left tackle, and all the injuries started to stack up, and the depth was not where it needed to be able to withstand that kind of storm. But let's be honest, guys, the first 5 weeks of the season, the Giants' offensive line was workable, winnable. Refresh your mind and throw it back to there. Think about how much time Daniel Jones had to throw. I mean, when you look at their offensive line ranks after week 5, before the injuries started to pile up, they had a pass blocking grade that was 16th, middle of the pack. They had the 11th best sack rate, meaning they were a top 11 team when it comes to the offensive line, giving up sacks per pass blocking set. And the offensive line, through only 5 weeks of the National Football League, allowed just 3 sacks. Just 3 sacks. That's awesome. Of course, the offensive line that you finished the year with wasn't very good. You had guys out of spots, and of course, you still need to add to this Giants offensive line. But man, what about if you go out and get a dominant right guard, and you go out and you bring back Greg Van Roten, and you continue to add Andrew Thomas, Jon Runyan, John Michael Schmitz, who I still think needs a long way to go, but also Jermaine Illuminor is a solid building block. But you got to add a right guard. And a quick fix for me on the offensive line is going out and do so. You got money to spend in free agency. Go out and sign a top right guard. Whether that be Trey Smith, my number one option, swing big on him, or Will Fries, or James Daniels. Go get somebody there that could be a plug-and-play impact player. Then on day 2 of the NFL draft, go draft the best offensive lineman available. If it's a guard, do it. If it's a tackle, do it. Continue to add to this offensive line. Signing a right guard is not enough. Then bring back Greg Van Roten. He was a leader in the locker room. He could play left guard. He could play center. He could play right guard. You got to bring him back. And I love having a veteran behind John Michael Schmitz to push him, but help him grow as a pro. Then I'm moving Evan Neal to right guard or left guard. He just can't play tackle for me anymore. I didn't think he was bad at right tackle as he had been in previous years, but I want to see him play guard. Look at Mekhi Becton. He goes from tackle to guard, and he has a huge year for the Philadelphia Eagles. A guy that can run block at Evan Neal that I think struggles laterally, doesn't have great agility and great balance. I think at a guard spot, it would help him a little bit more, and I think the ship has sailed of him being a quality tackle in this league. Then sign a veteran right tackle. Go out and do that. If you go out and sign a top right guard, you draft an offensive lineman, you bring back Greg Van Roten, you move Evan Neal to right guard, and you sign a veteran right tackle, you would have a pretty good-looking unit. And imagine week 1 for the New York Giants. Maybe you play the Commanders or somebody else, and this is your projected offensive line. With Andrew Thomas healthy, hopefully, for the rest of his career. Fingers crossed. Type those 78s if you're with me. Jon Runyan there. John Michael Schmitz. You sign Will Fries. You have Jermaine Illuminor. You have a day 2 pick at a left tackle spot. You have a Zudu now at a left guard spot. I'm done with him playing tackle. Or you have Greg Van Roten as your backup center. You move Evan Neal to right guard and a free agency vet at right tackle. Even if Andrew Thomas does get hurt, you can slide Jermaine Illuminor from right tackle to left tackle. He's ultimately your swing guy, in my opinion. If Thomas gets hurt, then your day 2 pick could play right tackle. Your free agency vet could play right tackle. Or if worse comes to worse, Evan Neal could be there. Still want to sign a couple more depth pieces? Man, if this is my week 1 line, I'm a lot happier than I have been in a long, long time. Grade that offensive line you just saw. If those are your 5 guys to start the season, how good is that? A, B, C, D, or F? I want to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, give me a follow over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. I'm giving it a B. It's pretty good.